If you've been following my Western Clash Champs tournament so far, you know that I'm a 1.5 out of 2. I won my first game, and then in my last game against a 12-year-old who was rated over 2,000, we ended up getting a draw coming out of the Hippo. Now here I'm playing as white. The last game I was white. Now I'm white again. That's pretty rare. Usually I don't get that double white or double black in a row. And here I'm going up against WFM Jenny G, strong player, 13 years old, and I play the move G3. Here I'm going for a Hippopotamus defense, but then I see the move of Bishop G4. I'm not sure if she prepped for me or not. My guess is that she did. That's my guess. Okay, in this tournament, I played one adult in round 1, and then the rest of the rounds were against kids. And kids are accelerating in their level. They're still going up. So if you play a kid that's 2,000, they're not 2,000. They're probably 2,200 level most of the time because they're still accelerating. And all the kids I was looking up, the last tournament, they were like almost 100 points above their last rating, just gaining almost 100 points in a single tournament. They're so good, and they're still getting better, so their rating hasn't caught up to where they are. Now, if you play an old person, right, if some of y'all are like 95 and you're 1,800, you're 1,800. You're 1,800, right? But a kid, not so much. Here, Bishop G4 is played. She came late to the game a few minutes. Then she plays Bishop G4. Very odd move that I don't think I've ever seen. I actually know I haven't seen it in over-the-board chess. I barely see it online ever. But the whole point here is that, look, if E3, which is what I'd usually do, oh, wait, the queen drops. Or at least that's what I think. She played it pretty quickly. Did she prep for the Hippo? That's my guess. In either case, Bishop G4, I can't play E3 unless I want to lose my queen, which I obviously don't. I thought about H3 and G4, and this is sound. But the thing is when the bishop goes back to G6, we got to throw our knight out to C3, looking to play E4. We got to play knight F3. If we play E3 here, that's too slow. H5 is played, going after our pawn. And there's no way for us to target that bishop with a knight right now, right? We don't have our knight on F3 looking to target that guy in any kind of way. If we take an H5, the bishop captures back. We have an isolated H-pawn. Our queen's attacked. This is not great for us. Not losing, but not great. If we play G5, E5 is played. That G-pawn's a big old target. If we play H4, our pawns are stuck. F5, super weak. If we play E4, then F4 becomes super weak. Going back, if we play knight E2 and let black take, at the end of this, we have a pawn on G4 that we kind of wish wasn't that far advanced. So I go, you know what? I'm going to play knight D2, see what they do here. I was still wanting to get into the Hippo, right? But I wanted to do so with a solid game. Here, I decided to go, you know what, fine. I'll play knight GF3, and I go into a King's Indian attack type setup. Now, I've been studying the King's Indian defense as I've been looking to release more content on how to play the King's Indian defense at a high level theoretically, but I really haven't studied the King's Indian attack at all. And the ideas are different. I mean, in the King's Indian defense, your opponent has fought for the center. They're usually playing D4, C4, knight C3, E4. Here, black's going for a pyramid kind of thing. A pyramid kind of setup. A little bit similar to the London system, but here for the black side. Of course, this bishop is on G4, not on F5. But yeah, I mean, I could have played E4, right? That's a good move, best move according to the engine, but I want to play in my style, right? I like the modern defense. I like the Hippo defense. I like the Tigers modern. I like to switch the board and use those ideas for black. So here I play A3. I play C4 now, right? Trying to go after that center. If black takes, we could take with the pawn or the knight. I kind of like the knight there because we're outnumbering black in the center. We're attacking the hanging bishop. If you move your bishop, we advance. Bishop to B2. Great option going forward. I love that game. But here, black castles. Good move. And apparently I should play B4. I was worried about A5. I didn't like this. And in all honesty, I still don't like this position for white. I don't like that this rook has complete control over the A file. Let me know down in the comment section below if you like this position or not for white. Some of you might. You do have B5 ideas, potentially. You do have C5 ideas, potentially. I just don't like it at all. So, you know, I didn't play B4, but I don't regret it. I played B3 there. I played B3. Of course, if you ever want to push to A5 and A4, our pawn's on A3, so we are able to push that pawn. But okay, we see the move, pawn to E5, and I play H3. The bishop drops back, and here I was really worried about F5. I was really worried about that. Like, if we play bishop B2, F5, F4 could be played. I mean, we're under a lot of pressure right now. I don't like it. So what I did here is I went with e4. Now if you play f5, we just take it. You can't take back with your rook or your knight because you get forked by our knight. If you take the pawn and then do it, that doesn't fix anything, right? And if you take on f3, our knight can capture back. If you take, at the end of this, you have an isolated pawn on the e-file, rook a2, we're looking at rook d2. If you kick our knight, knight g5. By playing e4, did you activate your pieces? Maybe your bishop a little bit, but you actually helped our knight and our bishop both get better. Looking at that pawn twice, looking at e6. So you don't want to just push pawns thinking you're gaining space when really you're just helping your opponent improve their pieces. Quick announcement, y'all, that I'm giving out a 30% off discount code for all of my online courses in the month of April, including the Hippopotamus defense, the Czech PIRC defense, the PONZIANI opening, how to play knight c3 against the Scandinavian defense, and my new course, over 11 hours in length, how to play the modern Scandinavian defense as black against e4. This is meant to be a lifetime repertoire. If you're interested in any of those, go down to the link below in the description or the pinned comment. Plug in the discount code CHESS25, and if you do so before the end of April, you will receive 30% off on your purchase, no matter what course or courses you decide to get. Let's head back to the video. So I played e4 there, right? Slowing that down. Now, this game here, right, I wanted to go for a hippo, but then I ended up going into a King's Indian attack, which is a good option. That's part of the reason why I like prioritizing kingside development, because you can very easily go into that King's Indian attack, King's Indian defense as an option very quickly, among other things, especially if you're playing as black like the neo-modern, which I covered in the first round. But here with the move e4, what does black do? Right, we play e4. d4 is played here. And I actually thought that was a mistake. I actually thought that black should keep this pawn on d5. Turns out I was wrong. d4 is the best move there. Let's say black plays something like h6. We can capture on d5, and I was thinking this isn't good for white because we have an isolated queen's pawn. True. However, it's very easy for us to trade this off with d4 at some point. And in the meantime, we could play bishop b2. If rook e8, we could play rook e1. Activate. We're looking at c4 and e4 with the knight. This bishop is very active in a good spot once that knight moves. Our bishop on b2 is great. Our rook's good. We can play rook to c1. We actually have a pretty active game here, and d4 is a break that we could look at on top of all that. Breaking open the center of the board. All right, let's say black plays bishop to g6. All right, knight c4. Defending the pawn, attacking the bishop, attacking e5 with 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces going after that guy right there. So that actually turns out to be a good game for us. So here, black plays the move of pawn to d4. Now, when it comes to opening chess, I think it's great to learn a bunch of different openings. In fact, I was recently talking about this concept with my guy Roger over one of our Patreon meetings where we all come together and we just, talk some chess. Our last meeting, we were talking about the $36,000 jeans that Magnus Carlsen sold. Imagine that. Go to a chess tournament, wear jeans, sell them for $36,000. Only if. Anyways, black plays d4. Right? I love combining ideas when it comes to different openings. Right? That's what I was trying to get to, and then I got distracted by that rant about jeans. Sorry about that. By the way, let me know how much you would buy Magnus Carlsen's jeans for. I'll be honest. I think it's weird. I'll just be real. Okay? I get it if the person was an athlete, you're getting a jersey. I get it if it was like some popular movie set and you got the Iron Man suit or the Captain America, whatever. But like jeans at a chess tournament? I don't know. I think it's weird, but let me know what you think. I would not pay for it, but that's just me. Well, I probably would to resell it, but I'm not keeping that. What am I going to do with it? I'm 7 feet tall. I can't wear the jeans. I'm 7 feet tall. Magnus isn't 7 feet tall. What am I going to do with it? I don't know. I mean, frame it? Everyone's going to be like, why are those jeans framed? Anyways, I'm sorry. Okay, when it comes to different openings, as I was talking about with Roger, ideas are good, right? Ideas can actually translate. And I started this game off with the King's Indian, but it turned into a hippo. It turned into a hippo. It turned into a position where it's like, wait, this literally looks just like a hippo. It really does, as you'll see. Here I played g4. Bishop g6, I play knight h4. I'm going after that bishop. I'm looking at the f5 spot. That's very important. a5 is played here. I go with rook e1. Apparently, knight f5 is a good move. When I look at it, I wonder why I didn't just play that sooner. Knight f5. If you take with the knight, oh wait, your bishop's trapped. If you take with the bishop, we take away from the center, improving our bishop here. We have knight e4. And we have 3 pawns that can push. This is a great position. Why didn't I play knight f5? I don't know. I played rook e1 though. And really the reason I played rook e1 was because I was worried about knight c5. And I wanted to be able to play knight to f1. And I was expecting knight c5. I was expecting knight c5 or knight d5. Right here, if black played knight c5 and then knight d5, here's the idea. If we save our knight, going to f5, going to f3, knight c3 could be played. If we take their knight, we lose our knight on h4. This is terrible for us. This is really bad. If black takes, they can keep taking. If they take and we capture back, d3 has a lot of pressure on it. By the way, we took with the c-pawn because we didn't want that bishop being more active. And if we take on c6, that's the best we can do, but the b file is breaking open. This is really bad for us. Really bad. All right, not a great position, in all honesty. If black plays knight d5, now we could take on g6, apparently. I didn't see this. Okay, I was thinking, I'm worried about knight d5. I could take. Black takes on h4. Maybe knight c4 there or whatever, right? But apparently knight takes g6 gives white a slight edge. Very interesting line. Knight c3 here, attacking the queen. And that's what I was worried about. Here I would probably just play queen c2 or something. But apparently we're supposed to just take the rook. Take the knight. If you save your knight, all right. I play c5, attacking the bishop. Opening up that b6 spot. Of course, black can play bishop c7 and then take the knight, or they could take the knight now and then capture off the pawn. Turns out we're up material right now, and white has a slight edge. Now, practically, does white have an edge? I don't think so, because they have a queen and we don't, and it's just hard to play against a queen, but we are up material here. Black has a queen and a pawn, and in return, we have a rook and 2 bishops. 12 points. Oh, wait. How do I do my math? 12 points. No, 11 points. 5 plus 3 plus 3 is 11, not 12. Learn how to count. Learn how to do some math, Solomon. 9 plus 1 is 10. So 11 to 10, we're up 1 point material. It is interesting to note, like when you have more pieces flying around, even though it's not a queen, you do have 2 bishops flying over the place. You do have that rook, and that pays off in a lot of ways. Okay, but I still don't love this for white. But apparently that was a line. But in the game, we see the move c5. And when I saw this, I was very happy to see it. This is just a bad move, guys. When you are thinking, right, when you are thinking about your own middle game plans, it's important to think about how does this help my activity and how does this help my opponent's activity? How does this hurt my activity, my flexibility, my options? And how does it hurt my opponents? Before c5, black had a good bishop, a solid bishop on d6. I don't know how good it is, but it's okay. And you have the c5 spot for your knight. That's the best move that you have as black, right? On top of that, you do have potential b5 ideas because the pawn supports that. Now, by playing c5, how did you help white's activity? You didn't really help it, except for maybe the fact that at some point that bishop could become more active, which is what happened in the game, by the way. But besides that, yeah, you're not really helping or hurting white's activity. How are you hurting your activity as black? Well, that b5 move doesn't have any pawn support now. That bishop stuck. That knight stuck. I don't understand c5 here. I just think that c5 was a big mistake, and it really limited black's play. And once I saw that, it's like, you know what? My opponent really can't do much of anything. I play knight f1. Here, my idea is to bring the knight to g3 and look towards e4 and f5. a4 is played. I go, you know, I'm just going to throw my knight in. Again, you can't take with the knight unless you want to get it trapped. The bishop captures back. And here I took some time to think. I almost took with the g-pawn. And this is okay for white. But much better is taking with the e-pawn. Now, what are the benefits of taking with the e-pawn? I captured with the e-pawn. I was literally telling myself, look, you know, you're on YouTube all the time telling people to take away from the center. Take away from the center of the board. Just do that. Take away from the center. And here white has a lot of benefits by doing so. First off, our bishop is an amazing piece now. Best minor piece on the board, and it's not close. How are you going to fight against that bishop? You can't. You don't have a light scored bishop anymore as black. That bishop is unstoppable. On top of that, the e4 spot is open. If we take with the g-pawn, our bishop's bad. We don't have the e4 spot available because it's taken up by a pawn, but now we do. Now we do. Right? And in the game here, I go with rook b1, going, you know what, I'm just going to defend the pawn. I'm going to play actively on that file. I then play knight g3, and then I take open that e4 spot. The other benefit of taking with the e-pawn and not the g-pawn is that you now have pawns side by side that can push. Going back to G takes F5, if we took this way. I know that the G file is open, and that's very tempting, but it's actually not that hard in a lot of positions for black to just go, okay, I defend G7, I'm good. Right? Can this pawn push? Not without our pieces helping out, and our pawns can't help. There's no pawns for white that can help F6. Our G pawn, not there anymore. It turned into an F pawn. This H pawn, no pawn support. But when you take with the E pawn, these pawns are all side by side, and they can storm the black side of the board. And that was the plan here. I now utilized the hippopotamus defense idea of tucking my knight. This is all hippo ideas, guys, that I'm talking about right now. When you get that pawn pyramid thing, when you take away from the center, when you fill in a piece on E4, this is all stuff I've covered in the hippo. I've played the hippo a ton. So I'm combining the King's Indian and the hippo, and I'm using those ideas together in this game. I love doing that in terms of openings, which is what Roger and I were talking about. Talking about the fact that openings can really, just cross over in terms of ideas. Knight B6 is played. I ended up going with H4, and if black took, I don't have to take on B3. I was planning to, and if Knight A5, Rook B5, how do you get rid of that rook? You don't. You can't get rid of it. Maybe you do that or something, but it's like, at this point in the game, guys, with H4, I'm playing G5. I'm playing G6. I'm activating my queen. Black just can't do much about it. Guys, when you're playing the hippo, or in this case, the King's Indian attack, and you can get that idea of taking away from the center, and you have 3 pawns and a great bishop, and all this pressure, I mean, you're on the brink of winning this. And black here plays Knight C8. That allows me to play bishop d5 with check. If the rook blocks g6, we are going to win that rook. And once the king moves here in the game, I play g6 still. Now, if h6 is played, there's different things we could do. We could take on h6 and then eye up that pawn with the queen on c1 or d2. I was planning on queen h5 and then taking on h6. Sure, by bringing your bishop back to d8, your queen is now a defensive piece, but who cares? The best thing you can do is just give us your queen. We take the queen, checkmate, game over, or we push our pawn. This game's over. But in the game, we have rook to d8. I play queen h5. If you don't want to get mated, you got to play h6. I take. Rook takes d5 is played. All of these lead to mate. And so does bishop takes g7, which I played. King g8, queen h7. This game was over. So I hope you all enjoyed this one. Yeah, I think it's a great thing to learn different chess openings and combine ideas. Ideas are huge in the game of chess. So when you're learning a new opening, and I have hundreds of them on this channel, really try to remember the ideas. Remember the ideas. There's openings that I've covered on this channel, a bunch of them, that I've never played, guys, and I never will in over-the-board chess or even online. But I remember certain ideas that I can use, and ideas in chess are going to take your game to the next level. By winning this game, I'm now sitting at 2.5 out of 3, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video covering round 4. Peace. To finish out, I wanted to give a big shout out to my Patreon community, specifically Walter, Rob, Steve, Rob, Ray, and Roger, and the rest of my Patreon community. Thank you guys for your support. If you haven't checked out the Patreon already, there are some exclusive benefits that you gain by becoming a member. I look forward to seeing you over there, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.